Welcome to Passionaire-magazine, the podcast where we talk about business, tech, food and travel, fashion, health and fitness, the arts and culture, where we want you to live your passion. Passionaire-magazine, the podcast. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for our final episode in looking at 5 ways empathy affects your leadership. This is 5 out of 5. Last but not least is looking at inspiring and motivating your team. As an empathetic leader, you understand that personalized recognition and appreciation is important. In fact, it is valued. Empathetic leaders recognize the unique strengths, the unique contributions and challenges of each of their team members. By acknowledging individual efforts and achievements, leaders can provide personalized recognition and appreciation. There's nothing like knowing that your department head, your VP, your superior, whatever name you want to give it there, whatever title you want to give it, that person knows you and knows what's going on with you. Again, many times people will leave a job or choose to find a new employment because they don't feel seen or recognized. This empathetic approach ensures that team members feel seen and valued, that they are recognized for their contribution to the positive end result. When you are recognized in such a positive way, you are motivated to work or to continue to do the work in which you're doing. There's nothing like having a positive environment in order to do your job. When you're in an environment of chaos, of disagreement, you're on edge, you're uncomfortable. No one wants to have a sense of conflict brewing in the corner. That's what we talked about last time. So tailoring your recognition to the individual person fosters a sense of significance and inspires a continued commitment to their excellence. When someone is able to come over to you and say, "Hey, John, hey, Joan, great job with working on the XYZ project. I really liked your contribution as far as 1, 2, 3 is concerned. Great job." Now, especially if your department is large. Now, of course, if there's only 3 or 4 of you, then folks are probably on a first name basis. But if there are quite a bit of you, now for some folks that would be 20 or more people. For another company, it may be 100 people. Whatever the number is, if you are able to get that personalized recognition, it means a lot to you. Don't feel bad for wanting it. And leaders, let's make sure that we give it. Another thing that we could look at when it comes to inspiring and motivating our teams as empathetic leaders is creating that positive and inclusive work environment. Empathetic leaders contribute to the creation of a positive and inclusive work environment by understanding the needs and the aspirations of their team members. So leaders, you can foster a culture where everyone feels welcome and supported. This inclusive atmosphere promotes a sense of belonging. It encourages individuals to bring their authentic selves to the workplace. Now, we hear about that so much on social media, that we should be our authentic self. But unfortunately, many times in being your authentic self, you are in fact ridiculed or labeled odd or weird, different, or not a part of the team. So people, of course, try to blend in and assimilate as much as possible because they want to be recognized. They want to belong. So if we create a culture in which everyone is accepted for whomever they are, and you are allowed to bring your gifts and talents accordingly, then you have an environment of inclusivity. This inclusive atmosphere promotes a sense of belonging and encourages again that authentic self in the workplace. A positive and inclusive work environment is a powerful motivator. And as a team, and especially as individual team members, you're more likely to be inspired. You're more likely to be encouraged. And when you are inspired and engaged and encouraged, you feel accepted, valued, and you want to show up more. As an empathetic leader, we can create this environment in the way that is best for our team. Now, leader, this is where you have to do your homework. This is where you have to put in a little elbow grease, if you will, and figure out who are my team members. What do they like? What do they need? What do they dislike? What are their positives? What are their negatives? What gets them going? What slows them down? You need to be observant. You need to have the conversations. You need to be the one who initiates the program. There's nothing like having a conversation that says, if you needed to change something in the workplace, if you wanted to change something about this office, what would it be? No need to say it out loud or write it down, put it on a piece of paper, drop it in the suggestion box. That's what we're looking at this week. Right? Nobody have the key but you. Not your assistant, not anyone else on the team, just you. And it doesn't matter if they type it or if they handwrite it. Of course, don't include your name on it, person leaving the note. And just find out what they're thinking. You know, I always find it curious when you receive an email that says, hey, remember, I just said you receive an email that says, we're doing an anonymous suggestion box. If you could just let us know what you think about X, Y, and Z by simply replying to this email. Are you serious? It has my name on it. It has my email signature included, but it's supposed to be anonymous. That's not going to work, you guys. So let's not even think about that. So unless there's a way for you to encourage someone in truly an anonymous way, right? Have them fill out an online form or something. Or have them simply jot it down on a Post-it note and drop it in the handy dandy box, right? Do something that encourages an anonymous way of making suggestions. Now, if your team is, hey, there's no shame in my game, I'm going to say it in front of everyone, here's my voice. If you have an environment like that, go for it. Have a meeting that's just for that. Or have the last 5 meetings of a team meeting that's just for that. And see what the suggestions are. But do what is best for you and your team. Because you know that if having an open conversation is going to bring out some chaos or some negativity, then perhaps that isn't the best route. Maybe that slip of paper, that index card in the box, is the best way. Do, again, what is best for your team. And last but not least is setting realistic goals and expectations. Empathetic leaders should set realistic and achievable goals while considering the individual capabilities as well as the circumstances of the team members. By understanding that the capabilities and the challenges of each team member, the leader can set expectations that are challenging yet obtainable. Now, when I say that they are attainable, it does not mean that it is not done so without a stretch, right? I am not saying make life so super easy that it becomes mundane, it becomes boring. Everyone likes a little bit of a challenge. Yes, I think so. So with that being said, if your goal last quarter, last month was 1,000, stretch a little bit. Let's amp it up to 2,500. Bump it up to 5,000. If you did 1,000,000, let's try for 1.5 million. If you've done 10 million, let's double down and try to do 20 million this year. It really and truly is about setting something that is attainable, but it's still a stretch. You don't want to get so comfortable in what you're doing that you turn off the room that you have, that you turn down your fire. You don't want to do that. You don't want to create an environment where your team feels that they aren't challenging themselves. But you also don't want to do every project that is so far out of reach that they feel like they're never going to be successful. The wonderful thing about our brains is that when we do something and we do it successfully, boy, does it want more. Absolutely, it wants more. So it is going to try to duplicate that, to recreate ways, present scenarios in which you are able to succeed. If you believe it, you can achieve it. Remember people telling us that? If you can imagine it, you can bring it to life. Remember people telling us that? Well, that is what we have stepped out in. That's what we do on a daily basis. That's why you are what you are. Solopreneur, entrepreneur, leader, director, VP, president, founder, owner, whatever label you have, right? That's why you have that position, because you understand the vision. As some say, you understand the assignment, and you run with it when you do. So when you create achievable goals that still allow your team members to stretch, you present a challenge to them, you keep them engaged. This empathetic approach prevents feeling overwhelmed, but also fosters a sense of accomplishment as a team, and it also helps build team building when the team achieves their goal. Setting realistic expectations contribute to sustained motivation, and it also prevents burnout. Let's face it, the years of working until you just can't keep your eyes open anymore, for a lot of folks, those days are over. They realize that they are burning out their teams. So they've set realistic extended hours. Perhaps you had a 9 to 5. But for this project, everyone needs to come in from 7 to 7. Just for this project. Which means for the next 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is, you will be expected to work these extended hours. But once the project is over, you'll go back to your 9 to 5. Now, there are some companies in which a project is ever going, like there's always something happening. Leader, make sure you have those stops, those pauses in your workflow that allow your team members to recoup from the hard work that they're doing. It could simply be one day you say, you know what, we are ahead of schedule, we're looking really great. It's 2:00. Everyone go home at 3 instead of working until 5, instead of working until 7, because you are rewarding them for what they have put in. You are acknowledging the fact that everyone has been doing such a great job, but you also acknowledge that these are people. You also acknowledge that people have a life and they would like to live it while still helping you make your dreams come true. So in being an empathetic leader, it doesn't mean being a softie all the time. It doesn't mean being a hard nose with a soft tone. It doesn't mean being passive aggressive. It doesn't mean including little microaggressions or being sarcastic to inspire others. It means you being your authentic self, but also being mindful of others. For what you do with your team, for your team, to your team, will be done to, for, and with you. So as much as we pour into our team, our teams will pour into us. They will give us the end result that we're looking for. But as we get there, let's please be mindful that our leadership matters. So let's be the best leaders that we can be. So I wish you a wonderful upcoming year of leadership. I wish you and your team so many future successes. And I pray that you will continue to walk the path that has been called for you, and your vision becomes clearer and clearer along the way. Thank you for listening to Passionaire Magazine, the podcast.